All right, Pete. So there's a whole bunch of different ways to invest in real estate. A lot of people have watched TV shows, HGTV, where it's flip this house, flip that house. And some folks have seen storage wars and they understand about self-storage facilities a little bit. You're focusing on multifamily investing. Why did you decide to do that instead of everything and anything else out there?
It's a good question. Honestly, I feel like it's the safest investment. I feel like it maximizes your cash flow because you're never going to be 100% vacant. So it's the safest, it's the least risky, but it also has a ton of opportunity for upside in terms of, adding value, improving the property, improving rents. There's so many ways that you can add value to those properties. But at the same time, you're hedging your bet on the downside with never having 0% occupancy.
Well, yeah, that makes sense, right? Because if you've got a house that you've got as a rental, that's great as long as somebody's in that property. But if it goes vacant for a month, you're 100% vacant. But even with one of your smaller properties, I think you said you had some 4-unit buildings. Well, even with those 4-unit buildings, if you got one vacancy, you've still got 3 tenants covering your costs, right? So it's a lot less risky that way. What about, I've heard a lot of people that are in the multifamily space, they really like what they call efficiencies of scale. What does that mean to you?
Well, you got one roof for, 4 housing units. So if you need to do roof repairs or replacement, that's one example of efficiencies of scale.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So it's, instead of having to go all over the place to a whole bunch of different properties, you've got all of your tenants under one roof. So that's taken care of. Typically, it's quite often it's one heating system. So you don't have to worry about all of that kind of stuff. So it just makes it a lot easier to deal with the property because you've got all of those tenants under one roof. Now, you also mentioned a couple of other things that you liked about multifamily, the fact that it's a lot lower risk. And you said there's more ways for you and your investor partners to profit from these kind of deals versus, for example, doing a flip. So what are some of these ways that you really like? What are the big ones that are your favorites?
Yeah, well, buying multifamily it's like buying a business. And so the valuation on a multifamily property all depends on how much profit that business generates. And it's something that we can easily manipulate, and we're not necessarily as tied to what the neighbor sold their house for. So if we can, improve the units and charge a good rent for it and manage the costs and expenses on it, we improve the profit and then the value goes up.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, Pete. Now, you're focusing primarily on investing in and around Phoenix. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, I really like the Phoenix markets. Phoenix to me is one of the best places in the United States to invest because you get a blend of cash flow and appreciation.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of markets out there that are pure appreciation plays, California, New York, some of those coastal areas. You can't cash flow on properties that you buy. So you're buying, and it's a gamble. You're just waiting and hoping that it goes up in value. And then there's other markets, in the Midwest or whatever, where you can make good cash flow, but they really don't appreciate. And so Phoenix is really, there's pockets here, certain areas of Phoenix, you're not going to cash flow, but there's pockets that you can get the best of both worlds in. And those are the pockets I like to play in.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. And the other big advantage is you're based in Phoenix, so you can be a very hands-on kind of guy. If anything comes up with the property, you can be on top of it right away.
Yeah, of course. So it's my backyard. I know what streets to avoid and what streets are great. And I've got my 2 service businesses here, so and a ton of resources with vendors. So whatever we need, maintenance or repair or improvement wise, I've got I've got really good connections and a lot of control. I've got property management connections. So all the resources that you might need to operate an investment property properly, I've got it dialed in. So, in the market that gives you the best of both worlds, cash flow and appreciation. So that's why I invest here.
That's why you keep on doing it. That's why you keep doing what you're doing. No, that makes a lot of sense. So there you have it. If this has created some curiosity with you, then here's what you need to do. Go ahead, click on the Contact Us tab, and then pick a day and a time that works well for you. And then you and Pete can jump on a quick call, no pressure, no shenanigans, and just find out if this might be a good fit for you. There you go. Reach out to Pete today.